life of freedom. We've got an awesome guest with us today. We've got Marcus Davis from Summit Funding. We're going to talk about how they are growing by getting better, not getting bigger. And this is something that applies, I don't care whether you are building your own skills as an individual agent or loan originator, or if you're building the world's most biggest, baddest team that's going to take over the entire globe. This will apply to either way. The principles that we're going to talk about and the strategy that they have is really, really interesting, and it's going to apply to anybody at any stage of business. So before we get to him, let me bring in, I am your certified Greg Wrangler for today. I don't know, this may be the day that certification gets revoked because Greg is in rare form. So first of all, the junior grandmaster himself in the co-pilot seat. Greg, what is up today?
Matt, what's up? Is this thing on? Is it on?
I believe
I don't know. Oh, no, is it on? I think it's on. Okay, good. Okay, it's on. Oh, my God. Marcus and I are having so much fun off of air. Oh, my God. We were laughing our asses off. And poor Matt comes into the show 4 minutes late. Marcus and I, we've already bonded. You know, a brotherhood has been formed. Matt is on the outs. Unfortunately, if you showed up on time, you would have been part of the brotherhood.
Oh,
but we were laughing our rear ends off. This is going to be so much fun, guys. Marcus, you know, from the very beginning, the way that they're running their 2017 business is the way that I think all of you guys should be running your businesses. It's a strategy that I don't think a lot of people really talk about because everyone's talking about bigger, instead of better. Quality over quantity trumps quantity every single time. And Marcus is going to break it down for us today, people. So pay attention. Damn. All right.
Wow.
Man, that is an introduction. Marcus, welcome to the show. we appreciate you being here and for taking and for putting up with Greg, mostly.
The honor is all mine. Super awesome. Very happy to be here.
Oh man. Okay. So give us a little idea, and then I've got a quick question here from the Facebook group that we'll take that I think we'll all be able to kind of chip in on. But Marcus, give us an idea. Summit Funding, if people aren't familiar with it, if they're not in one of the states that you guys serve, just give everybody an idea of just what the team looks like, where you guys are at in general, and how many guys you got on your team.
Okay, cool. So Summit Funding, we've been in business for about 21 years. And myself personally, I've been here as of March of 2017. That was 7 years. So I've been on the bus for 7 years, and we currently have 30 branches in 26 states, and we funded $4.2 billion in production last year. And as you know, last year was pretty much what we would consider in the industry, decent amount of refinance volume, and we were at about 27% refi and 73% purchase. So we're really a very purchase-focused mortgage banking operation, and we are pure retail. So there is no third-party origination. We do not do any wholesale. It's just retail production. So in a nutshell, that's who we are.
Cool.
That is awesome. Actually, I think one of my lenders was with you guys for a little while, or is with you now. He changes brokerages like people change underwear. So I mean, but I do know that I had a lot of good working relationships with Summit. So I mean, that's why I'm personally excited to have you here.
Cool. And Marcus, I'm curious. We'll cover this Facebook question here real quick. So Lex Campaldini says, "Hey everyone, just curious what you guys read to stay informed on our market and real estate in general. Any good recommendations on either daily blogs or resources to check?" So before we get to Greg, what you check, Marcus, I'm curious, what from your perspective, what do you read just to keep up on the financial markets, real estate in general, and just so that you know how to make intelligent decisions?
Well, I mean, I enjoy reading Rob Christman's blog. I mean, that's one thing we do for sure. But at Summit, we have a collection of CEOs and CFOs from several different mortgage banks, and we will meet, routinely over the course of every month and talk about different, what the different, share best practices, things like that. When you really look at it, a lot of the stuff operationally for us is really about increasing efficiencies and driving more automation into the process. It literally costs about $7,200 to manufacture a loan. It's crazy.
Really?
And
really? Good Lord.
Yeah. And so, so for us, it's probably split half between the branch network. So when you look at Summit, we're based out of Sacramento, California. That's where our mothership or our corporate headquarters are. So our branch network is really 30 cost centers And then, of course, probably 85 total locations. That's including the satellites that roll into the branches. So the branch network is where the branch manager lives and all the loan officers originate loans, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where that happens. And their job, they go out and sell, originate the loan. The branch processes the loan, puts the package together. They send it. Of course, we're paperless. That is a good automated thing. And they send that loan here, where at the mothership here in Sacramento, we underwrite the loan, draw, and close the loan. So, so for us, there's a lot to do with improving efficiencies and automation. And the winners in that arena are going to drive down that cost to produce. And that ultimately is where you can win the game, along with great salespeople, right?
So, Marcus, quick question for you. Everyone, like we talked about in the intro, everyone's trying to go bigger, badder, all that stuff. Why have you guys decided to go better, not bigger? I mean, people probably, like a lot of people that I talk to and coach, they're always like, well, I want to double my production. I want to build a team. I want to get like you and I kind of fall in this category. We're like, we want to get 1,000 people on our team.
Not you and I. Don't lump me in with you, Greg. You fall into this category of, if we can do X, why can't we go 10X?
Yeah.
So, so guilty of that.
Yes.
Actually, it's a choice, right? But to give you some background, if you can imagine pre-meltdown, so pre-2007, there were actually 3,200 private mortgage banks in business. So this is not the big box banks like the Chases and the Wells and all those people. This is like the Summit Fundings, the Guilds, the ABC Mortgage, those private mortgage bankers. There were 3,200. And today, post-meltdown, this is a great test question for both of you. How many do you think remain post-meltdown? Give me.
I'm going to guess less than 1,000.
I'm going to probably say 357.
No, that's low. So it's right around 830 or 850 private mortgage banks.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's great.
When you look at that pre-meltdown of the whole pie, the mortgage broker did 60% of the production.
Wow.
And the big box banks like the Wells, Chase, B of A's, along with the private mortgage banks, they shared the other 40% of that market. So you go into the post-meltdown era, Dodd-Frank, compliance, all that stuff. Who got hit the hardest from a compliance or legal standpoint?
You guys.
The
small
broker.
guys.
The broker.
Really?
The broker who had 60%, they took it on the chin the hardest. So today, the broker has about a 10% market share, and the big box banks, the Wells, B of A's, and the Summits of the world, we share 90% of the market. So in that post-meltdown era, the opportunity to grow, if you're a private mortgage bank, there was 1/3 of the original number, and now we're sharing 90%. I mean, literally, even to this day, we could open 1 or 2 branches a month if we chose to do that. Right. So for us, 7 years ago when I started, we were doing probably a little less than $1 billion. And 7 years later, we're now, we've eclipsed the $4 billion mark. And for us, we kind of got a little caught up into the fact that it was real easy to grow. Right. You've got this big pie. And if you close on time, you coach your salespeople, you have some accountability, you're literally, you can crush it in the private mortgage banking end of the business. So, we got up to this scale where we could be a direct seller servicer with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie, and we have about a $2.5 billion servicing portfolio. So we actually service, probably 30% of the loans we fund today. But we kind of hit this place where we were big enough to be direct and to be a seller servicer. So the guidelines and the product that we deliver to our loan officers is phenomenal, and we're big enough where we can have great rates and things like that with our warehouse lines of credit. So operating financially makes sense. But at some point, we kind of hit that space where let's serve the people who are on the boat with us, who we took to the dance. So for us, when I say, hey, we want to grow smart, our business plan where we could open 1 or 2 branches a month, we choose to open maybe 1 to 3 branches a year.
Wow.
And it's a much smarter play. It's a choice. Not, you can do it however you want to do it. But for us, we want to be in a much higher relationship with our people that work at Summit. And that looks like, hey, let's really help our branch managers grow their branches so they can be financially more successful and run a better operation. And our relationship with them will be much stronger. And through time, it's a position where we actually cherry pick. When we go out to recruit, we say no a lot. Like, nope, it's not really a fit. Unless it really is going to be a great fit with our culture, we don't need it. And so it protects who we have. And when we do make a decision to add or grow, it's super, super intelligent. So that's just how we've chosen to be in this space right now.
So with growing smarter, instead of bigger, I love how that works. What are some of the qualities you look for in the people that you're hiring? So you could hire any Tom, Dick, Joe, or Harry to go out there and pump out a loan. That's a monkey can do that for the most part. But what are those qualities that you're looking for the right people to sit on the right seats on the bus?
So like that's a really good question. And like when you look at our recruiting process, it's probably 3 or 4 interviews. And even when they finally get to a space where maybe they're talking to myself or the CEO or a regional guy, they will have taken a disc test and their drive test and their values test. So literally, we actually test every candidate out. So when it comes to a loan officer, like if you look at Summit, we're a super educational based company, right? So our CEO happens to be also a partner. So Todd Scream is our CEO, and he's a partner in a whole nother business called The Core with a guy named Rick Ruby. And I don't know if you've heard of The Core, but they're probably the premier elite coaching company for mortgage people in the industry in America. And there's about 400 members that they have, and it's a waiting list just to get in. And these guys that join The Core, they pay $2,750 a month. That's the tuition, and it's a 2-year program, right? And so what they do with that coaching process is really a process of accountability. So these guys are held accountable. You call your 40 realtors every Monday by noon. You do your status calls every Tuesday. You call your pre-approvals Wednesday. There's a sales structure or process. And these guys, the statistics show that they double and triple their volume and their income and their savings. And that's part of The Core. So that partnership, it kind of bleeds into Summit. And we coach loan officers here at Summit. So for us, it's a very specific person that kind of fits in here. And we coach loan officers. So you got to have high drive, you got to have a high political score, and you got to have a high economic score. So we look for certain specific characteristics, and these people are people with a lot of drive. So they're going to go out there and they're willing to be held accountable and follow a sales process. It's kind of like, I guess it would be almost like being in the Marines almost. Now, don't get me wrong. We have great operations. We have a great platform. We have great culture. We have great leadership. So you could be a great originator, and we have a bunch of them that choose not to be coached, but they just love being at Summit. But the truth is, it's just a super highly educational-based, driven type of a platform. So specifically for us, it's really high-drive people who are in it to win it. When you look at the industry average for units funded per LO, it's under 2. It's like 1.7 or 1.9 units funded per LO. We had months last year where we were over 7 units funded per LO. So for us, it's more that high quality loan officer or originator who wants to be coached or is willing to be coached, and they're really running a business. And if you're not that type of a person, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just we're probably not going to hire that loan officer or open that branch, if you will. So that's really how we look at it.
All right, and Donna Paul has a comment here. She says you have to be on your A game to be a part of that group, and that is no joke. Here I'm curious about how you guys have overcome this specific issue, because I see this with real estate teams a lot. Josh Smith's team down in Arizona is a good example of this. I interviewed him about his recruiting strategy, and he's looking for those same type of like young guns, very, very aggressive, high drive, high economic motivator. He didn't mention the high political. Now that's an interesting thing we might get into in a second, because I'm curious about that. But anyway, what his point was is he mentioned that he only counts on retaining, in this case, an agent with that type of drive and that type of an ability and personality profile. He only expects them to be on his team for about 2 years before they move out of his team and just kind of do it themselves, or they wanted to go start their own team. So I don't know if you guys have, some retention, some figures that you want to share or not, but I'm just curious, like, what do you guys really focus on to keep that from happening so that you can have those high drive people, but you're not losing them and essentially training your competition?
They have to have an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you look at that structure, like one of the programs we're really working on right now, we call it our MLA program, and that's a mortgage loan apprentice program. So we'll take somebody that tests out really well, but they're young, high I, high drive, they have all those right characteristics. We'll jump them in and they'll become a junior loan officer for a top senior loan officer, right? And so they split the commission up. We pay them a salary. They split the commission 3 ways between the branch, the LO, and the MLA. And then once they close 20 loans, you move them up, and then they get 2/3 of the commission. We take the salary away. The branch financially is out of it. And then when they hit 40 loans, then the senior loan officer has to say, hey, thanks, man, you graduated. Good luck. And then that originator, their career path would blossom into their own full origination model where they're running their own business. We're teaching them the right way. But to answer your question, I think that I kind of digressed a little bit there, that you'll always have that issue, right? And so I've been in the business since '88. I was an originator for many, many years, slinging loans, thousands of loans, was a really good originator, then became that originating branch manager, right? And I actually ended up being better at recruiting and coaching people than I was at being an originator. So I'm better where I'm doing what I'm doing now. My point is, though, is I can remember getting up to 12, 13, 14, 15 loan reps in my branch in Sacramento. And what started to happen was when these originators got better and better and better, they said, hey, I want to be the branch manager. I want to make the extra money, and I want to be the king, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with that? Well, the truth is, it's people are gonna come and they're gonna graduate and they're gonna have to leave, right? So if your company was in real growth mode, like Countrywide, for example, they would have said, okay, Freddie, you're doing all this production. You want to be a branch manager? We're just going to go down the street here and we'll open your own branch. And sorry, Marcus, thanks for growing this kid up and too bad. So you can have that type of an approach. Or ultimately, some of these guys, like we have 3 really, really good branches in Sacramento. We had a great originator in our Elk Grove branch. The kid's a stud. So he's like, Davis, these guys are knocking at my door to be a branch manager. Can you open another branch in Sacramento? Hey, Blair, I'm sorry. It's really not in our growth plan right now to do that. The kid's a branch manager at Movement now. We went and had lunch last week. It's just a part of the way it is, in a way.
It's interesting.
Does that make sense?
It's kind of the McKinsey approach, right? It's up or out, but even the ones that end up going out, they end up still being advocates for you on the outside.
Yeah. Well, hey, hopefully you can maintain that relationship. Listen, we got 3 great branches. We're doing 350 loans in Sacramento. We kick butt. I mean, I guess if I was Greg, I would have said we kick ass because he says stuff like that on the radio or whatever we're on here. But my point is, there's 12 to 15,000 loans being funded a month. We're kicking ass at 350 loans. So Blair can go out there. We can still be friends. We can all get a bunch of loans together and serve our industry at a much higher level and still share best practices. That's the way I look at it,
A couple of things that I really liked what you're talking about there, Marcus, is that whole stair-step process that you're doing. And everyone that is working wonderfully at Summit, guys, so there's absolutely no reason why it can't work great if you're going to build a team or if you just want to bring other people on around you or whatever else. Do a junior agent, 20 deals. Once they hit 20 deals, then they go to an agent, go to 40 deals. Once they get past 40 deals, I just put 50 plus deals, and then they go to a senior agent or something along those lines. But I love you're teaching people how to fish so they can go feed themselves and their families and the people around them and grow a business around their productivity. It's not like they're getting fed everything like, okay, here's a bajillion of leads, go get them done. You're actually helping them originate. And since you were an LO for a long period of time, and you did do origination. Give me a tip, a trick. Give me what was your shtick on how you were so successful on that? Because a lot of agents want to have their lenders be a part of their business, but they just don't know how to do it. So if people listening to this, they're working with someone. If they're not, they should. What would a Summit agent do to assist a real estate agent, and what did you do? Because I know there's a large variety of what you could do.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it was always just a numbers game or a math equation. And I want to be clear, in the mortgage business, it's pretty simple math. It's like 5 divided by 10. There's your housing expense ratio, right? It's basic math. But at the end of the day, the loan officer that makes more calls and gets more leads wins.
Mm-hmm. Imagine how that works. Wow.
Wow. More conversations equals more business. I, for one, I don't know about that. That sounds like a crazy theory.
That's just nuts. That's crazy pants, Matt.
So truly, back in my day, it was about garnering the trust with that referral partner and selling. When they gave you a lead, you would obviously sell the agent back, the borrower back to the agent, and make sure that when you're dealing with then your past customer database, you're in relationship with your referral partners and their past customers and really putting that thing together. And it's things as simple as, hey, do what you say you're going to do. Can you close in 30 days? And I would say, yes, I will close in 30 days. And then I would close in 30 days.
One of the things that I have that I like a lot that I have done, and I figured out the guy that is in my area, Casey Sullivan, is Summit down here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did an event with him. Cool dude. But one of the things that I do is I have my lender when I do a loan. I say, hey, Casey, go call. Here's the number for the listing agent. Go call them and let them know that you're the lender on the deal, and answer any objections up front for them instead of them having to read just a sterile letter. Right. And I know that's one of the things that I do quite a bit, and it works out incredibly well because there's that bond that builds, that comfort level begins to build right there.
Yeah. Well, back in the day when I was doing it, it was a much simpler thing, right? Now you have agents that, hey, do co-marketing with me. Where's the money coming from? What are you going to give me? That type of an approach. Yep. And, when you look at a Summit person, hey, why don't you let me throw your client appreciation annual party for you? And I'll help you with that. Why don't you let me, Mr. or Mrs. Broker, do a lunch and learn where I'll bring in a top appraiser and they'll debunk or demystify all your appraisal questions, and I'll feed you a sandwich. Why don't you let me sit on your open houses? I will take all your open house leads, call them, pre-qualify them, and give them back to you, and see if I can help you sell 1 or 2 more houses. Would that help you, Mr. or Mrs.?
I accept.
That type of an approach. Yeah, right. So it's really that partnership or that relationship where you're bringing or adding value to your partner's business versus, hey, let me pay you some money and then will you give me your referrals? That's just such a low level relationship. That deeper or more evolved relationship really has mostly to do with adding value back to that partner. That's how we look at that.
And that's what I love about your mindset. You guys look at things totally different. Instead of glass half empty, it's a half full all the time. You're not growing exponentially in numbers, but you're growing exponentially in quality. Not just on the LOs and the internal processes, but you're also then taking that and you're pushing that back out to your agents that you're working with, saying, hey, look, this is why you work with me, because I'm that freaking good, and I'm going to pay for all your shit and hang out with you. The hanging out thing's the rough part, but I'll deal with you, Mr. Agent.
That's coming from a broker. That's pretty good, Greg. Wow. I can't believe it.
I speak truth, my friend. I speak truth.
Hey, I'm a fan, brother. You got me. I'm all yours.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right, well, let's go back to the culture fit. I was talking with Greg Harrelson out in Myrtle Beach, who has a very similar kind of expansion mentality. So it's always culture fit first, and we're kind of riffing on like what is that point where you cross, where when you bring a new person in, you as the leader don't have to be as involved with training them because they step into a culture where they show up and there's already a certain number of people there and they're following a certain system, and they tend to fall in line with that group of people without tilting them and dragging them down. And we were kind of, thinking is somewhere around between 10 and 15 people. If you dump a new agent or a new LO into an office environment where there's 10 people showing up and following a certain system, it's much easier for them to just kind of follow the leader. Have you guys seen that to be the case? And just give me your opinion on what that number is to kind of build that culture?
Yeah, well, it depends on the skill set or strength in leadership of the branch manager, right? So you got Jim Reed. He's our number one branch in the company. He's actually right here in Sacramento. And I think they did about 1,200 units for a little over 600 million last year. He has 18 or 19 LOs, right? So that's a lot. He's a very strong leader. He's very structured in his process of how he coaches his LOs or how he does his exact sales meeting. He does the same thing over and over every month, right? He's the chief go-to guy, but he really does that through great delegation and choosing great or hiring great people. Like when you have a branch of that size, he obviously has the best operations manager in his branch. So as far as him saving time, if he has a super strong ops manager, she handles it. So he doesn't have to get involved. Like, part of that ops group will help them structure the loan, so he doesn't have to do that, right? The other thing that we find is as people follow a leader, you work for people, you don't work for companies. So that's a proven fact. And I mean, it's even more than money, right? Now, money's important, and we really encourage and we set up all our LOs so that they can make a lot of money, and that's the right thing to do. That's how we think about it. We pay real high commissions. We do it on purpose. But that being said, they still are going to follow that leader. So what happens, or what I find happens, is you got a real strong leader, you got some really strong mature LOs. They actually will police the culture for you as well, which saves him time. And after you get over about 12 loan officers, we have a thing where we'll allow that branch manager to hire a sales manager in that branch.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So part of it is you got to layer up, but you can't layer up to the point where the leader loses touch with his people, because as soon as you do that, you're lost. I guarantee it. Right? Now, even in his model, people are going to grow up and and they'll be ready to be a branch manager. And if we can't solve that opportunity for them, they may go away. But that's why you always recruit every day and keep recruiting, so you can keep growing your business and your branch the right way. Sorry, someone's trying to get in there. Okay, so go ahead.
In my office. Go away.
No, I love that. Because and I was talking about this on another podcast here recently, and that is, I would say, the scourge right now that's going around in kind of the real estate team environment is this, I would call it kind of a false dream that you can build this team and get all the benefits and all the rewards of leadership without the cost of leadership, which is pouring your life into somebody or a group of people, right? So, and what you're saying makes complete sense. So at 12 LOs, you can hire a sales manager, and that person maybe they're doing some, more one-on-ones. Maybe they're doing more, more meetings, additional training. But those, however many LOs you have in your office, they never lose touch with the leader, and the leader is still pouring their life and their heart and soul at a certain level into those people, because without that, you lose that connection.
Yes, it's the connection. You lose the connection. And the other thing is the other big killer is growing too fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see so many private mortgage banks. Oh my gosh, we opened 3 branches this month, but 2 left out the back door. Well, what did you actually gain there, my friend? And is that the strategy, or is that how you want to be in relationship with your employees and your people, especially your salespeople, right?
Mm-hmm. The leadership is one of the things that I find is very, very intriguing. Matt and I had a discussion about how we're going to, a potential opportunity for us on another arena, and how we wanted to be involved with it. And we both agreed to the fact that we want to be boots on ground in the trenches, working with the people every single day with a very structured regiment, so that they know that we actually do give a shit about them. They're just not like, hey, employee, shit, what's your name? Bob, Frank, Steve? Oh, fuck it, whatever. All right, yeah.
19, I'm going to call you 19.
19, yes. 19 over there. 17's doing better than 19. No, but going in there and be like, hey, Matt, how are you, man? What's going on? Is your wife, Julie, doing well? Those 3 obese little wood-denting, insulin-sucking little babies doing okay? How are they? Yeah? They fell through the floor again? I'm sorry to hear that. But Marcus, how's life? How you still playing basketball a lot, man? What's happening? That level, because people will fight and die for a leader that they know has their back and will be leading the charge down a difficult path, and when it gets easier, they'll be behind them to support them. They will kill or die for that.
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. Leadership, that's clutch, right? And the thing is you only have so much bandwidth or so much scope. At some point, if you're doing things right, your business is going to grow to a place where I have anxiety, right? We have 85 locations. We have 30 branch managers. I can't talk to all of them. It gives me anxiety, right? And the truth is like, if you look at our CEO, Todd Screama, he'll do at least 2 videos a month with a really nice company message. We do a company call once a month. One of the biggest, really cool things we went through, and gosh, this is probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, but I don't know if you've heard of Patrick Lencioni. And there's this book called The Advantage. And, when you look at us, we had a consultant come in and we went through this big process of creating a playbook. So it's really like, it's like our business plan, but I was always, hey, the business plan is real simple. We get the sales guy in here. I get the numbers from everybody. And I tell, my boss, the owner, hey, man, I'm giving you $4.2 billion. And everybody goes, yay. And, you work backwards and you work backwards off those numbers and you figure out how much staff you need and what the branches need. You do all that stuff. So we go through the process of this book, and it really comes down to, like, we made a playbook, and the playbook, it starts with asking a major question, and that is, as an organization, why do you exist, or why do we exist?
That's a great question. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, and most companies have no idea.
No. Yeah. I mean, what's the point of our podcast, Matt? I don't know. Why do I talk to you all the time? I'm so lost.
Hey, you guys need to you read the book. I'm telling you, it'll help your business. So, but when you look at that, and we started to go through this thing with the consultant, and we're all, he says, okay, everybody write down your answer. And I'm saying, well, we exist to have great LOs and get them paid, kill everybody, and do all these numbers. And the ops person answer is completely different. Yeah. And Todd's answer is completely different. And so we're looking at each other going, wow, we're really kind of messed up here. And so we went through the process, we figured it out, and our answer came up as to change people's lives. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's like 4 main things, like, why do we exist? Who do we serve? There's like 4 basic questions that don't change. And then the next part of the plan is really kind of like a thematic statement, which represents your next 6 to 9 months. And in that section, like for us, it's closing smooth and closing on time, right? So, gosh, imagine that, you could say, hey, we used to focus on, we got to close in 30 days or less. And when we really broke that down and looked into it, no, we don't. You have a bunch of loan officers that work with builders. They may not close for 120 or 180 days. So chasing that one number doesn't make sense. But if you're an originator and I'm recruiting you and you come in and I say, hey, our main focus is to close smooth and close on time. And last month, I don't know where my report is, but I think we were 96 or 97% of our transactions closed on time, and 93% closed smooth. That's an actual report that we run.
I was just about to ask that, whether you actually have a metric tied to smooth, because that is very difficult to do.
Well, it's a bigger question than that. How do you measure that?
Yeah.
Right? So for us, we go to each branch, like Chico branch. You closed 62 loans last month, and when they do their breakdown, their month-end meeting, their ops manager goes through every loan and asks the loan officer and the processor, did this loan close smooth? Processor says, oh, yeah, they were super happy, yada, 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 and so, it's not really. I mean, the branch, I guess they could be lying and saying that so they look good on the report. But the fact
Nobody talk about the Smith deal. Don't bring up the Smith deal.
Right. Oh man, that Smith deal.
but truthfully, if the branch is doing it right, they want to serve their salespeople and their people. They're going to be honest, because unless you're honest, you can't really. We need that feedback so we can correct the problem and get better. You never arrive. It's really about growth. When I say Summit's an educational-based company, we do things like that for that reason, right? So
Yep.
we had our LO retreat, and we do a real core style coaching. So we got 242 LOs, 86 actually are in the Summit coaching program, where we have existing core coaches that are loan officers here that teach core style, right? And there was a really beautiful statistic that came out of that. So we started this coaching program 2 years ago, and here are the statistics. Loan officers in 2016 who were coached, their average W-2 was $357,000.
Wow.
And loan officers that were at Summit but not coached, their average W-2, so some are closing more, some are closing less, was $141,000.
I'll sign up. I want to be coached.
Yeah, and so it's that kind of approach. But getting back to the advantage and really having a playbook where literally I can't go in and go to the bathroom without having that playbook posted up there, that placard. So everybody in the organization, it means something to the greetings partner who's answering the phone at corporate downstairs on the first floor, all the way to the loan partner supporting a great originator in our San Diego, California branch. Everybody is seeing the same message, right?
Yeah.
So staying connected or being able to do it at bigger numbers and still stay in high relationship, it's a lot of those types of things, right? And that was one of them.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that, like, you guys, everyone's drinking the same Kool-Aid. Everyone has the same message. Everybody has the same goal. Now, there's going to be different paths to that goal, but everyone wants to achieve the same thing. Understanding why you're doing it. I want to go back to that super quickly. You guys want to change lives. What we say on our team is that we want to keep good people away from bad brokers. There are a lot of shitty brokers and agents out there that are out there just for the quick buck, and they'll say anything they can to get the listing or control a buyer into a property or whatever else. And so having that core of wanting to keep good people away from bad brokers gives us another light out when we're looking at a scenario, and keeps us the whole team headed in one direction. Patrick actually is a past client of our team, and the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team was another great book to read. And I mean, anything that man writes.
Pretty much. Just read everything.
Just read everything.
But I wanted to go back to something you mentioned, that for the person taking the phone calls, right, which is like getting down to at the absolute, what you might call the lowest level, or which really is the front lines of the people that actually deal with the customers. That was something that really stuck out to me when I read, I don't know if you guys have read this book, but Bill Walsh's book, The Score Takes Care of Itself, ex-49ers coach from back in the day, like 4 Super Bowls in the 80s. One of the first things he did was he came in and he wrote a freaking manual that down to the letter dictated exactly how the phones were to be answered when someone called the 49ers organization. And everybody looked at that and went, why are you doing this? Like, why are you getting involved in how the equipment manager is hired, or what they say when they pick up the phones? And he said that I needed to instill a culture of excellence at every single level, just so that we could believe that we were excellent before anything would actually take place on the field. Yeah.
Well, you look at Bill Belichick, same thing. You're going to have structure and process and accountability. That's exactly what Bill Walsh did. And they did win 4 Super Bowls, and they had some amazing dudes, don't get me wrong. But, at the end of the day, when you have those ingredients, the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts, right? Like, Greg, like the sum of the parts are, maybe there are 9 parts, but the whole is like 15. It's better. That's where the magic is. But you can't do it literally without structure, process, and accountability. It's very, very simple, right? No. Like, here's another example of structure. So, we do 4.2 billion. There's only one me. There's only one CEO. We're obviously not going to be able to talk to everybody, especially all the salespeople, and do all that stuff. So we developed the advisory council. the advisory council consists of the top 3 branch managers, the top 3 loan officers, and 2 wildcard picks and 1 moderator. So that's the voice of the field. So they basically, we have a 1-hour call with them once a month, and they bring up the topics of, hey man, pricing sucks. We got to do something about pricing. I'm sure you guys never hear that, right? But,
oh yeah. Never.
Or maybe it's like, hey, when we get down to creating that CD, that process is a little clunky, and here's the feedback that we're getting from our customers, and so we make a project out of it. We go to work on it. We listen to the field, and that's a great way to do that, right? So just an example of that. All those little details matter. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, you're bringing up a really good point. You're actually listening to your customers, your clients, the people, the boots on ground, the directors of first impressions. I think is Cynthia decided to told us that over on the lead gen scripts and objections page. So what up, Cynthia? And that's really true. I mean, you can't sit in your ivory towers and expect to have the same experiences that the LOs at the branches are experiencing and what the clients are telling them.
That's right.
That is your that is your currency. That is liquid platinum.
Yeah.
Because if you can tune in and not dictate down to the consumer, but have them tell you what they need and want, you can meet them and expand your business. And that is in real estate, that's in loans. And guys, so you don't have LOs, you don't have loan officers out there working for you, but you do have friends, family, past clients, out there, ask them honest to God, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Where did I really screw the pooch? And then eliminate screwing the pooch.
Right.
If you hear it more than once or twice, that now you did something wrong, even though you didn't see it. That's kind of what you guys are doing, right, Marcus? You find a problem, you hear it more than a couple of times, you're like, okay, how do we take it, tweak it, or just eliminate it from the whole process?
Right. Yeah. So
yeah, and I love that process. You mentioned the structure, process, and accountability. That's almost like it's a lens that you can look through in terms of, well, how do we, once a problem comes up, those are the 3 things you can look to in terms of how do we solve the problem. We look to structure, process, and accountability. It's going to be one of those, or it's going to be a combination of those 3 things.
Yes, that's right. And like when you look at it, like we're business people. We happen to be in the mortgage business, but we're really running a business, right? So 2 hours every other Monday, we have our EVP meeting. So we have 6 EVPs and our CEO, and every other Monday, for 2 hours, we get after it, and we go through all the numbers, all the metrics, anything and everything. And sometimes it gets a little contentious, and that's where we make decisions to run this business, which happens to be the mortgage business. When you look at loan officers are really sales people. They happen to be selling mortgages. So we're really focused on coaching them and teaching them how to be great salespeople. Now, yes, it helps if your loan officer is highly technically skilled and really understands guidelines at a deep level and knows how to read deals and do that. Yes, that is a really, really good thing. But at the end of the day, it's our objective through our sales process to have our originators sell 21 hours a week. And so, we have a greatness tracker, and that greatness tracker, you have to do 15 face-to-faces every week. You have to call 40 realtors by noon every Monday. You have to do your past customer updates or 60 great calls over the course of a week. So, an update call can be a great call. But if I call you, Greg, and say, hey, Greg, it's Marcus. Hey, man, I know you're the listing agent on the deal. I just want to let you know that appraisal's in. Okay, cool, man. We should have docs out by Friday. That really is not a great call. A great call is, hey, Greg, I got that appraisal in. It came in at value. By the way, it looks like I'm going to be able to have docs in title 5 days early. If I actually get it there 5 days early, will you meet me for a cup of coffee next week after we close?
Hell yes.
Right.
And I'm buying. Let's go.
So that is not me being a great mortgage guy. That is me being a great salesperson who happens to be selling mortgages. So that's how we approach that and look at that.
So Matt, let's bring that back to real estate agents. How could agents how could they do the Marcus? What are those numbers again? What are those different types of calls that you're talking about?
The
40 calls. Yeah. Like those breakdown calls.
Yeah. So for us, it's a greatness tracker, which is 15 face-to-faces every week, 60 great calls. You got to have 5 or 6 break breads. So a face-to-face is either I'm taking an application with the borrower, or I'm meeting with you, Greg, and I'm asking you about your business and trying to close you on being a referral partner, or having you be, us be in a relationship where you refer me leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's you and I sitting down and me asking you a bunch of questions and doing a 2-step close and figuring out what's most important to you in your business, and then set a follow-up appointment and come back and say, hey, here's how we do this. Here's how I can add value here. Are you going to give me a shot? That's like a face-to-face, one of those two things. Break breads would be like you and I, hey, man, let's go have a cup of coffee and talk about our kids and the weather and all that. That's working more on relationship, right? It's
mm-hmm.
1 to 2 seminars a week. So maybe a seminar is you're going to go to the Board of Realtors meeting, something like that. Maybe you're going to do a lunch and learn, something like that. 5 to 6 cards a week. So you want to always do 5 to 6 written cards every week. And I love it because, even to this day, you guys, when I go home, now understand, I have 6 kids. So my wife she has the harder job. She has the harder job. She's the boss, right? And so, but still, I come home every day, and she typically beats me to the mailbox. But every day I come home, when I get home, I run straight to the mailbox. And I open it up because I'm not looking for the utility bill, by the way. I'm looking for somebody send me a written card, man. I want to see that, So the simplest 5 to 6 written cards a week. Hey, Greg, thank you so much for what you did on that transaction. It got dicey in the end. You worked with the seller. You got it done, man. I know we're not working together, but you're awesome. I just want to tell you I appreciate what you did. There's your card, right?
18 years in this business. Almost 18 and a half years in this business. I have never received a card like that. That would blow me away. No, shush.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah. Never
I
done
don't know,
it.
Greg. I need to get you some breath mints or something. What's going on over there? Nobody has sent you a handwritten thank you note after a transaction?
No, I guess I suck. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
Hey, listen, my boss, our CEO, he sends me cards at my house. Hey, Davis, I just thought you'd like to see this card, man. You really kicked ass last quarter. I love you, man. You're the best. I'm like, hey, I come back after I got the first one. I said, hey, you can just walk down to my office. I'm 2 offices down. Just come down and say what you got to say. But thank you for the card, man. It blew me away.
Oh, the thing I like about the card so much is that it's such a lost art. You can send an email, you can send an Evite, you can send a Facebook message, you can send all these great things. Technology is fantastic, but there is nothing like getting a card in the mail. This one happened to be one with butterflies, with a handwritten note inside thanking you for doing something. And I literally, no joke, dude, I keep all of mine right next to my desk because they mean that much to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get them a lot, at all. And this is personally my favorite one. This is just, Marcus, you're going to get a kick out of this. This was sent to me, and do you want to know why it stuck out? Tell me why.
That was your rookie year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wish I could say that was true. No, this is 3 months ago. I think wore that to the podcast.
Hey, man, I'm going to call you after the call, Greg. I'll give you a few pointers, man.
Yeah. But it made such an impression on me doing the cards. And I mean, I think that what you've laid out here, so 15 faces to faces, 60 great calls a week, right?
Yeah, 1 to 2 seminars. You got to have 5 to 6 cards.
5 to 6 cards, 2 break breads.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I'll recruit a loan officer. I'll send them all the stuff. Even if you don't want to come here, I'm cool. I still want to end the call and help you somehow, right? And I'm telling you, we are salespeople, and we happen to sell houses, or we happen to sell mortgages, or whatever it is. But really, the art is in the sale.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is really a mathematical equation. It is a numbers game, and it's your grit or your willingness to surrender to that process and do it. Go through the drudgery of doing it week in, week out. Now, I can tell you for sure, how many of even our top producers, do you think fully execute a greatness tracker every single week?
It's almost impossible, but at least they're getting close to it. Yeah. Zero. But they're trying.
But I got news for you. If you did half of it, you'd still be fabulous, you know?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, you guys don't know this, so that's why I had Marcus go back over and say those numbers again and talk about it again. He literally just gave you the playbook, play-by-play, on a weekly basis, multiply it by 4 for a month. Don't bitch out and try to, just do all this stuff monthly. No, bitch. You're going to do it weekly.
Yeah.
Guys, he does over 4 billion in volume. And this is the metrics to stand up with your past clients and your prospects and everything else. Do you think he has done it right? Wait. Yeah, judges have ruled. That's a 10. That's a 10.
Oh my goodness, man! Wow. I'm gonna go home from work early. I did my job today.
Yes, you did. I'm out, boss. I'm going home.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's good.
All right.
That's good stuff. And don't forget the accountability piece. Like the coach is really there to, you turn in your homework. And another magic to this, and again, you guys can do this with your own teams. It doesn't have to be done just because we're 4 billion and have 200 and something loan officers. The accountability piece, right? So the coach is there, and we put our loan officers into groups of 3. And we group them up with a coach that best serves that style, perhaps. And we try to have all those originators be in a similar space in their career so that they get to compete together. Like, hey, whoever gets the most face-to-faces this week, the other 2 guys are going to do 50 push-ups in front of them on the Blue Jeans coaching call. Stuff like that, right? So you've got competition, you've got accountability, you've got this culture, you've got that whole thing going, right? And trust me, it is not for everybody, right? Yeah. Everybody is going to want to do it that way. But even the super successful people that, would tell you, I don't need coaching, I don't need any of that. I guarantee you they are holding themselves accountable to that drudgery every single week in, week out type of approach that creates that success. So whether they're coached or not, they are doing that for sure.
The funny thing is, I just hired myself a coach for $1,000 a month. I actually hired Hank, Matt.
Did you really?
Yeah, I hired Hank
awesome,
to coach myself because I know that I need a coach. I need accountability. I need structure, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like you were saying, the people that got coaching out of your LOs did $300,000+. The people that didn't are 150-ish. Yeah. It's literally double.
No doubt.
From having just by being vulnerable and allowing someone to kick you in the nuts when you're not doing it right, when you just want to just kind of go blind eye on it and be like, I'm doing fine. This other person goes, no, dude, right there. This is where you have a problem. Work on that. Try this. You're not hitting your numbers. What's going on? What's your schedule? What's your personal life? Want to work it out? Want to talk about it? Okay, here's the solution.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that you put people that are similar in their career so they can trade the war stories back and forth. They're in the trenches together. They're not being preached down at. They're rising together through the ranks.
Yes. And they're learning from somebody who has been there at that station. I was there. Here's the 19 mistakes I made. So here's your homework next week. And here's the truth, you guys. Everybody has to have a boss. It's like so much you see people get up and they start making good money, and pretty soon they can't be told what to do. They know it all. It's just like we have process and structure to listen to our field, even though, Todd made $30 million last year. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to listen to anybody, right? Any more money. But the truth is he has a coach. And his coach will tell him what to do. And when the coach gives him a homework assignment, this is a guy who made $30 million last year. What do you think he does?
He does it.
Guess it does.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm doing it. And Greg, I applaud you. You're paying $1,000 a month. That's a big investment. Good for you.
But I'm investing in myself, and I know myself, and I'm not going to let myself down.
Hey.
I refuse to fail.
Yeah. You got skin in the game, too.
A lot of it. but
it's a large human. There's a lot of skin to put in the game. All right.
You call me fat? Wow. I'm having a weight issue, Matt. God.
Getting a little chippy in here, boys. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. All right. So one of your guys in the comments on Facebook here said just email marketing@summitfunding.net for your copy of the Greatness Tracker, guys. So if you're not here with us live, if you're watching or listening to this after the fact, email marketing@summitfunding.net to get a copy of that Greatness Tracker that you were talking about, Marcus. So let's close out here. So let's say someone is really, if they're they want to work with you guys in terms of they're a real estate agent, they want to get in contact with your LOs, or maybe they're thinking about joining your team. They're listening to this because they are an LO or want to get into that business. What's the best way to connect with you guys, and how do they find their way to the right person in their local area?
Well, if you go through that summitfunding.marketing.net, they will be on that thing immediately, and they will get you to the right place.
Perfect.
You know, Google us, look us up. I mean, it's interesting how we're so unknown, or it feels like we're so unknown, and we're doing so many great things, and we're literally changing people's lives, which not only does it have such a good feeling to it, but I wake up every day and it's pretty much two things. Number one, I'm broken. So I acknowledge the fact that I need to work. I will never arrive. I have to continue on this path of growth. And number two, man, I'm just happy to go to work. I'm loving it. I want to be here. I want to be with my people. I want to be a part of this great thing. So it's super exciting. I feel super blessed, super lucky. A lot of gratitude.
And the thing is, Marcus, you actually exude that from every pore of your body. I mean, dude, you're smiling, you're laughing, you're joking, but you know your freaking numbers, dude. You are spot on. You know your shit, but you have fun. Yeah. That's the cool part about it. And right. I put summitfunding.net into the link, guys. Go take a look at it, poke around on there. And I actually, as soon as they posted that marketing at Summit Funding, I already emailed them. Can I get the Greatness Tracker, please?
Hey, well, you guys can call me. You got a link at the top. I'll give you guys whatever you need.
Be careful. I will take you up on that.
I'm all yours. I'm all yours.
Oh, man, that's awesome. All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap things up because I could keep going, and I've got lots more questions on team building and leadership and all that stuff. Maybe we can bring you back another time because we'd love to do that. Sure. But let's wrap it up quickly. For us, as far as calls to action, make sure to subscribe to the show. I've already mentioned YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher, all that good stuff. Check out the latest live training course we're doing, guys. It's called Get Now Business. You can check that out, getnowbusiness.com. I'm sure Greg is already putting the link in there. But Greg, what do you have to say about Facebook and connecting with us?
Well, it's a new technology, guys. It's just a fledgling industry. I'm not so sure whether social media is going to really take off or not. No. Guys, we follow us on Facebook. Please do not friend us. I literally cannot accept any more friends. I have almost 1,000 waiting friends requests, and I can't do it until I piss someone off. So that doesn't happen every day. But so just follow me, follow Matt. He will not accept a friendship. I would if I could. I have a beating heart, not a cold rock stone. But our new class, guys, is not a project. It's a class. We're doing live classes every Monday. We're going to start this on June 5th. We're going to do it for 4 weeks, and it's going to be awesome. It's all going to be about how getting business now. No cold calls, no door knocks. Budget of $500 or less every single month, and how you can, instead of branding yourself, how you can go get the business right freaking now. We will tell you guys some tips and tricks that are literally sitting right on the tip of your nose. You're not going like that. You can't see them, but we'll help you guys see them. And that's what we want to do. Like Marcus wants to do at Summit. He wants to help people. We do this show, guys. You know that we've done it for almost 2.5 years now because we love you. We seriously love you. We Matt and I, our greatest success every day is getting an email, getting a Facebook message, getting something on YouTube, going, hey guys, all your stuff you're putting out is amazing, or I did what you guys said and I'm making all this money, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. That's our goodness. That's our reason. That's our energy and engine behind the show. So share that with us, guys. Share that with us because we want to hear you guys succeed.
That's right. As cold-hearted as Greg makes me sound, I would like to hear from you. So feel free to message me, because what happens is people message Greg, and then Greg has to screenshot it and send it to me so that I get the comments. So guys, please, if the show is making an impact, I would love to hear it. Please message me on Facebook, and then follow Do Not Friend Me, because I won't accept your request.
And don't call him.
And don't call me. That's right. With that said. All right, guys. Marcus, it was a pleasure. We really appreciate it. And we're glad you have fun and roll with the punches, because we had an awesome time, and I'm glad we got to do it and deliver some really solid content that I know helped a lot of people. So, guys, we have, as always, we've got killer guests like Marcus coming up on the show. Almost every single show, if it's not me and Greg talking our heads off, we've got an amazing guest So join us. Next episode's on Friday at, is it Friday? What day is this?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, buddy.
Anyway, next episode is Friday. So we'll see you then, guys. Appreciate it.
And guys, Marcus, stay put. And as always, guys, peace out, ninjas. We gone.